Have you ever tried cleaning your room only to put things in the closet, then pull out more items you never use and end up just tossing them into another corner? A few days later, you realize that corner has turned into a new clutter pile and everything is back to square one. I've been there. Every time I decided to tidy up, it felt like I was just spinning my wheels. It was exhausting, like running in circles with no end in sight. I couldn't help but blame myself. Why can't I just get it together? Why do I keep cleaning only to have it all pile up again? So, how do we break free from this endless loop? In today's video, I'm going to share the things I've decided not to bring into 2026 and simple ways to clear out your space without feeling overwhelmed. Every year after the holiday break, I set aside time to clean out my wardrobe. However, every time I start, I find myself feeling overwhelmed by the amount of clothes I never wear. I realized that I only actually wear about 20% of the clothes in my closet, and the rest just sit there taking up space. Clothes I bought impulsively during sales or beautiful dresses I hope to wear for special occasions never get used. In the past, I would always reassure myself with, "I'll wear this later," but as time passed, those items remained in my closet untouched. Each time I looked at my wardrobe, it felt like a disappointment. Not only was my space being taken up by unnecessary items, but I also felt mentally drained by the clutter. Having so many options made it harder for me to decide what to wear, and every morning I felt stressed because I couldn't figure out what to choose. One day I decided it was time for a change. I started looking at each item seriously and asked myself, when was the last time I wore this? If the answer was never, or it's been too long, I didn't hesitate to let it go. I realized that if I hadn't worn something in the past year, it was a clear sign that I didn't need it. After cleaning out my wardrobe, it became much more organized and I could easily see what I actually loved and would wear. The process gave me a sense of relief, not just in terms of space, but also mentally. No longer feeling stuck among unused clothes, I could quickly choose what I actually wanted to wear and felt more confident when opening my closet. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just exhausted from living with clutter. Don't be too hard on yourself if you feel overwhelmed by the mess. Start with small steps. Get rid of things you no longer use. Give your space a chance to breathe, and you'll feel the difference. When your space is organized, your mood will feel much lighter too. After cleaning out my wardrobe, I turned my attention to the keepsakes and gifts I've kept around the house. These are often items given by friends or family during special occasions. I kept them out of a sense of guilt, thinking that discarding them would upset the giver. However, every time I looked at them, I didn't feel joy, I just felt like they were taking up space, which only added to my frustration. I realized I was holding on to these items not because they brought me happiness or had real meaning, but out of emotional obligation. These items no longer served a purpose in my life, and keeping them only made my living space more cluttered. I also understood that giving these items away wasn't about letting go, it was about giving them a second life with someone else who might appreciate them. The things I no longer used could bring value to others. So I began to go through each item. The stuffed animals, the paintings, and the gifts that I no longer used were either donated or given away. I kept only 1 or 2 items that genuinely held meaning for me. The relief I felt when I no longer saw the clutter of unwanted items in my home was freeing not only in terms of space, but also for my mental state. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just tired. Don't feel guilty about letting go of things that no longer serve a purpose. Keeping too many things only makes you feel overwhelmed and stressed. Start with the things you no longer need, clear your space, and make room for things that truly add value to your life. After clearing out my wardrobe and removing unnecessary keepsakes, I turned my attention to the items around the house. One of the most frustrating things I noticed was the number of broken or incomplete items I had been holding on to, thinking, "I'll fix it later," or "I might use it again someday." Every time I saw them, I realized they were just taking up space without serving any real purpose. The broken tea set missing a cup, or the old phone chargers tangled up in a drawer. I kept telling myself I would use them again, but in reality, they just continued to take up space. I had to ask myself, why am I holding on to these items when I know they are no longer useful? I realized that keeping them wasn't because they held any true value, but because I hadn't yet faced the task of letting them go. The thought of "I'll fix it later" turned out to be a trap of procrastination. I kept thinking that someday I would take the time to fix or replace them, but that day never came. Instead, these items were just cluttering up my space and making it feel more chaotic. This feeling made it even harder to move forward with a real decluttering process. After coming to this realization, I decided to take action immediately. I set a rule for myself: if I couldn't fix something within 24 hours, I would get rid of it. The broken tea set, the tangled chargers, I chose to let them go. Instead of letting them take up space and frustrate me every time I saw them, I decided to part with them without hesitation. This process not only cleared up space, but also made me feel mentally lighter. The items that no longer served any purpose were no longer taking up precious space in my home, and I felt like I could finally breathe in a more organized environment. If you're like me, you're not lazy. You're just exhausted from holding on to things that no longer have value. Keeping broken or unused items only makes you feel overwhelmed and prevents you from tackling the clutter. Remember, letting go of things that aren't useful is the first step to freeing up your space in your mind. Don't feel guilty or worry about getting rid of them. It's about making room for what really matters. Start by letting go of items that can't be fixed right away, and you'll notice a significant difference in how your space feels. After cleaning out broken items, I noticed there were so many duplicates scattered around the house. These were things I had bought even though I already had something similar, simply because I thought having an extra one would be convenient. But in reality, I never used the extras. They just sat there taking up space, and I couldn't find room for things I actually needed. I realized that keeping duplicates because of convenience or thinking I might use it later was only leading to clutter. For example, I had 5 cutting boards when one was more than enough, and I had multiple pots even though I only used 2. I also had several sets of pajamas, though I only wore a couple. When I looked at these things, I realized they weren't adding value. They were just taking up valuable space. They weren't needed, but I kept them because I thought I might need them one day. Going through these items made me realize that keeping duplicates doesn't make life easier. It makes my space feel chaotic and disorganized. Instead of having a clean, organized kitchen where I could find everything easily, I had multiple unused items crowding my drawers and shelves. So I decided to keep only the items I actually use, like 1 cutting board, 1 pot, and just a few sets of pajamas, and donate or get rid of everything else. It was a relief to see the extra clutter gone, and it made it so much easier to organize and access what I truly needed. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just overwhelmed by things that don't serve a purpose. Keeping duplicates only makes your space feel more crowded and disorganized. Don't feel guilty about letting go of things you don't need. Start with duplicates and you'll quickly notice how much lighter and more functional your living space can become. After cleaning up the physical items around the house, I realized I also had a clutter in my digital space. Unread emails, unused files, duplicate photos, and countless apps that I never open. These things not only took up storage space, but also made me feel overwhelmed every time I opened my computer or phone. Each time I saw those unread emails, it felt like I was facing an unfinished pile of work. And the duplicate files only wasted my time when I was searching for important documents. I realized that it wasn't just my physical space causing me stress, but my digital space was doing the same. Having thousands of unread emails, unnecessary files, and unorganized photos made it hard for me to focus. Every time I opened my devices, instead of easily finding what I needed, I was overwhelmed by the clutter. I also realized that this wasn't just wasting time, but it was reducing my productivity and effectiveness. So I decided to declutter my digital space. I started with my emails, deleting the irrelevant ones, archiving important ones I hadn't read yet, and using filters to sort the rest. Then I went through my files, deleting duplicates and unnecessary documents while organizing photos into albums by theme. I also checked the apps on my phone and computer, uninstalling those I never used, keeping only the ones that truly added value. When I was done, I felt a huge sense of relief, no longer overwhelmed by endless notifications or a messy desktop. I could easily find what I needed and focus better. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just tired of digital clutter. Don't worry if your digital space is overloaded. Decluttering it isn't a one-time task, it's a habit to maintain. Start small, delete unnecessary emails, remove unused apps, and organize your files. Once you clear up your digital space, you'll find that not only does your physical space feel lighter, but your mind does too, making it easier to focus on what matters. After cleaning up the digital clutter and household items, I turned my attention to the toys in the kids' room. Every time I entered their room, I felt overwhelmed by the sheer amount of toys. While these toys were gifts given with love, they made the room feel cramped and chaotic. Instead of easily picking their favorite toys to play with, the kids were overwhelmed by the sheer number of options, many of which were never used. I realized that more toys don't mean more happiness for kids. In fact, the more toys they have, the harder it is for them to choose and enjoy any of them. The toys that were forgotten or outdated just took up space and didn't add any value to the room. Every time I cleaned, I realized that these unused toys were just taking up valuable space and not contributing to a better environment. I began going through the toys, asking my kids, "Do you play with this one?" The result was clear. There were only a few toys they actually played with. The rest just sat there taking up space. Toys like mixed up Legos or outdated toys that were no longer used were removed. I decided to keep only the toys they truly enjoyed and donate or get rid of the rest. The room immediately felt tidier, and it became much easier for my kids to pick their favorite toys, making playtime much more enjoyable. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just tired. Don't feel guilty about getting rid of toys that no longer serve a purpose. Sometimes getting rid of the excess not only helps clear physical space, but also teaches kids how to value and appreciate the things they love. Start with decluttering the toys, and you'll find that both your home and your kids' playtime will feel much more enjoyable. After cleaning out unnecessary items, I realized something important. Even though my space was cleaner, my shopping habits were still causing things to accumulate. specifically small everyday items that I thought would be useful, but weren't really necessary. So I decided to apply the one-in, one-out rule to control my shopping habits and keep my space organized. Each time I buy something new, I must get rid of something old. This way, I can maintain a tidy living space without being overwhelmed by things I don't actually use. This rule not only helps me control my shopping, but also encourages me to think more carefully before making a purchase. I'm no longer swayed by sales or impulse buys because I know that for every new item that enters my home, something else has to leave. It also helps me reduce waste and keep only the things that are truly useful, which ultimately reduces stress and clutter. Whenever I buy something new, I ask myself, which item in my home hasn't been used in a while and can be donated? For example, when I buy a new shirt, I donate an old one I don't wear anymore. This process helps me not only clear space, but also think more intentionally about what I need before making purchases. After applying this rule for a while, I noticed that my space became more organized and I didn't feel as overwhelmed by the clutter. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just tired. Keeping too many items only makes you feel cramped and prevents you from enjoying a comfortable living space. Don't worry if you can't declutter everything all at once. The one-in, one-out rule is a simple yet effective way to keep your space organized and prevent unnecessary accumulation. Start using this rule today and you'll see a noticeable difference in how your space feels. After implementing the one-in, one-out rule to control my shopping, I realized it wasn't enough to reduce the clutter in my home. Every time I saw a new item or an attractive sale, I found myself getting drawn into buying things even though I didn't really need them. So I decided to challenge myself with a no-buy rule for 30 days, meaning I wouldn't buy anything new unless it was truly necessary and had a clear purpose. Throughout the 30-day challenge, I became more aware of what I truly needed rather than buying things because they were appealing or on sale. I learned that saving money isn't just about purchasing cheap items, but about not buying things you don't need. This challenge also helped me reassess the value of the things I already had. Instead of chasing new purchases, I focused on using and appreciating what I already owned, which made me feel more grateful and connected to the things I have. Realizing that satisfaction doesn't come from owning more stuff, but from living with only what's necessary gave me a huge sense of freedom. Every time I felt the urge to buy something during this challenge, I asked myself, do I really need this? After thinking it through, I realized that many things I thought I needed weren't actually essential. After 30 days, I noticed that my space felt much more open and organized, and I was proud of myself for not being swayed by shopping temptations. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just tired. Not shopping isn't about denying yourself, but about realizing that your living space needs to be free of unnecessary items. Try this 30-day challenge and you'll see a noticeable difference in how you view shopping and how you appreciate what you already have. After completing the no-buy 30-day challenge, I started reflecting on the items I had kept around my home, and I realized there were many things I kept, simply because I thought, one day when the time is right, I'll use them. These weren't things I used regularly, but rather items I kept for special occasions, thinking that when I have time or when the right moment comes, I'll finally put them to use. These items just sat in the back of the closet or in a corner waiting for the perfect time to be used. I realized that the wait for the right time mindset was just a procrastination trap stopping me from letting go of unnecessary items. It kept me from clearing space, and these items were taking up room without serving any purpose. This kind of delay not only wasted space, but also made me feel like I was living in a home full of things that no longer had a place in my life. I couldn't move forward as long as I kept waiting for the perfect time to use these items. So instead of continuing to procrastinate, I decided to take action now and get rid of the things that no longer fit my life. Items like a baking set I'd never used or books I'd always planned to read but never did were removed. Once I let go of these things, I felt a huge sense of relief, and my space felt much more open. This not only freed up physical space, but also gave me a lighter, clearer mental space. I no longer had to see those items sitting unused, and I felt like I was starting fresh, with a cleaner, more organized environment. If you're like me, you're not lazy, you're just tired of holding on to things that no longer have value. Don't wait for the right moment to clear your space. Start right now by letting go of the things that no longer serve a purpose, and you'll notice a significant difference in how your space feels. Sometimes getting rid of the unnecessary items is the first step to making room for the more meaningful things in life. In conclusion, after changing the way I declutter, I realized that I no longer clean the old way. I stopped holding on to things that no longer served a purpose, and learned to free up space by keeping only what truly matters and adds value. This is how I started the new year, with a fresh mindset and a more organized space. You can start by tackling the small items like clothes you haven't worn in over a year or things you thought you'd use but never did. Don't feel pressured to do everything at once. Just start by letting go of a little each day, and by the end of the year, you'll be amazed at the change. Finally, you deserve to live in a space that brings peace and fulfillment, not one crowded with things that no longer serve you. Let your home be a place where you feel comfortable and free in this new year.